You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome back to our first, the Round Zero preview show. So this is going to be a recurring series on the channel, we think, just to, sort of preview of the round, what we're going to be looking for throughout it, sort of implications on our fantasy team, and then we're going to have that, review show afterwards, looking over it and seeing how we did and everyone did. Nathan, what's the plan? You excited?
Yeah, we've got half of opening rounds gone, so it's a start. We've got to get rid of the next 2 games. Yeah, if we can get rid of the other two, just move them a few weeks back, start round one as the opening game of the season. I reckon that'd be a good idea.
Game one, round one, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So 2 W's for Alfred already, but sort of make up for that sort of lost time. We'll have a few of our early season thoughts and predictions for how we see it panning out. So without further ado, let's take a look at who we're going to be keeping our eyes on.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Always watching is right. And I should probably have our little tab up, shouldn't we? Round 0, Game 1. Last year's grand finalists, Sydney Swans, against who are a good chance of being this year's grand finalists. I probably should have put some more thought into them. Swans v Hawks. Nathan, who have you got your eyes on? What are we going to be watching for in round 0?
Well, I reckon we'll start with Sydney, just to break them down separately. So there's a lot of uncertainty around a couple of roles at Sydney. You got a couple of players out injured, obviously, so we'll be seeing some players get a bit more opportunity. Across halfback, I'll be looking at Matt Roberts. So we saw what he did back end of last season once he got that halfback role. I think he should have it this season. There's no indication he wouldn't. So I think he's probably the first one on the agenda for me.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, good view. For a lot of these sort of games, these round 0 games, I'm not so much going to be looking for your premiums and whatnot and what they're doing, just because, those guys are missing. They're missing around in the middle of at the start of the season, aren't they? And we don't want to be just having that amount of cash sitting there doing nothing for us. So for me, the ones I'm going to be watching are those underpriced, checking out their roles, if we think they're going to get consistent games, if they're going to get subs. And on the topic of your Roberts call, I'm going to be looking for this guy, Gussie Sheldrick. No Mills, no Goulden, and I think he's a great chance to get a role in their team and get some points. We've seen him score points in previous years, so we know he's a good scorer, but it's just, is he going to keep that role? Is he going to get limited minutes? That sort of thing.
Yeah, he just never seems to hold on to a spot in that Sydney side, which it's usually a pretty good side and a very good midfield.
It is, yeah.
But at least with injuries, he's got a bit of a patch at the start of the season where it's his chance. Doesn't need to be a season-long keeper for us if we do go with him, but if he can pump out some solid scores the first month and a half of footy, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, what did we say that he needed to score to start getting his cash started? Was it 42, 43, something like that?
He doesn't need too much to get it started. Whether or not he's going to make enough for it to be worth it for you, like at that price, if he's not pushing 75, 80 even, I'm probably not going to be too interested. Because you're going to get lots of rookies that can average those mid-60s anyway for about 100, 150k less. So, and some of those rookies probably have better job security than Sheldrick as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a hard team to crack with those Swannies. Anyone else you've really got your eyes on for them?
Just rookie watch, Riley Bice. Don't even know if he's going to be in the side or not yet, but if he is, that could be one to slot into our back line just as a bench rookie. Other than that, you just a lot of premiums. So it's not to say we can't grab any of them. If a Brody Grundy comes out and pumps a 150, I might change my ruck format on that. So
Wow.
there's definitely room for moving players around. But yeah, especially with the premiums, it's got to be a hell of a score because you don't care about their cash gen as much. But if it's a sign that they're going to have that good of a year, maybe their price right now is as cheap as you're getting them.
Exactly. And if they're going to keep on with that, like you suggested, you're essentially getting them at a discount if they're going to be moving up, if there's someone that everyone needs to have those points. Yeah, that's a good time to pick them up. Yeah, a lot of their premiums aren't, you look at your Warners, your Heaney's, they're not exactly like what you're looking for in the fantasy sense as a start as well. They're those, high impact guys that don't get a lot of easy ball, go upfield, kick goals, and just, not quite that mix of inside and outside you want in your side as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So on to who they're versing in the Hawks. A few players on my watch list, but we'll start with yours, Nathan. Who's on your watch list?
So top of the list has got to be Will Day. It was in my team a lot of this preseason. I just felt like he had some injury troubles last year. I felt like this was the year he was going to just get a clean run of health, and by all means he's had that. But then we look at the preseason and he spent a bit more time forward than I would have liked, which is very concerning. How much does that hold in the actual season? I don't know. Maybe we go through round 0 and he's starting in the centre against Sydney and suddenly he's a great pick again. If he does play a lot of half forward, though, that probably caps his scoring. So might make it a bit of a tougher pick.
Tough, because we've seen when he is fit and in that midfield. We've seen with Will Day that he can score with that 95 average in 2023 from 21 games played. It was a real breakout year for him. He's at that age as well, 23. He'll be sort of coming into that prime. I heard him talking somewhere and saying that he was feeling a lot more confident in his sort of bigger body as well in comparison to where he was a few years ago. And I just hope he gets the chance to use it, eh?
Yeah, that would be a good one for him. Just next one on the agenda, James Sicily.
Yeah, he was my number one.
He played down back in the preseason, which is absolutely what we want. We don't want him moving forward. That's awful for us. Do we trust that he's going to stay down back? Even if we see him play down back against Sydney, is that going to be enough? Or are we still going to have a bit of a headache every week that he might be the magnet that gets moved forward if they need him to?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's only just used as that sort of emergency option because, we saw what he can do on those games where he just gets left back, 24 touches, most of them, more than most of them, kicks, just, a few marks again, most of them uncontested, just on his own back there. And we touched on it lightly in the team previews, which you guys can check out on the Insight Fantasy Sports. They're all up there for both me and Nathan. But with those signings of Battle and Barras, that people are seeing them as a chance for him to spend more time forward. I'm seeing it as a chance for him to get freed up, play as that extra back there, get those uncontested balls, take those intercept marks, and things that you really love to see getting you points.
Probably the only other concern on that too is Barras and Battle are both pretty good intercept markers themselves.
Well, they have a team for a lot of it. I heard talks about
it's not to say it's just they're going to be.
Like,
they're not necessarily just lockdown defenders and suddenly Sicily is free. Like they're probably all to some degree going to rotate through who's going to be that loose man down back. I don't think it's always going to be Sicily. So that could honestly hurt him as well. Like even if he is down back, maybe his ceiling won't be as high because he's not the only general down back anymore. He's got a lot more support.
Just quick topic off the quick question. Where do you see Dylan Moore finishing in the forward line?
Oh, he'll be towards the top again. He's probably anywhere from like 4 to 7 in the forward line is where he'll rank. You're not going to pay up for it, right? It's too much. That's one. Come the buy rounds, we'll look at him as a trade target. But for now, we can just let him do his thing. Hope he has a slower start to the season.
Yeah, a few more watches there. Newcomb, someone that's hurt me previously, but coming in fairly cheap for what we think he can do. And yeah, I think that sums it up for my end. Any more from yours?
No, that's about it.
Yeah, brilliant. Next game 2 of 2 for a round. God, how does that make you feel? We have GWS versus those. I'm forgetting. Yeah, GWS versus the Pies. Giants, a few sort of rookie options we can see possibly, getting a spot, most importantly, but also maybe getting some cheeky scores in there. Who are those for you?
Yeah, so Leakey's the big one. Big body for the young man. Trained with the midfield. Probably didn't get the preseason we wanted to see out of him. For a lot of the tour, he didn't get too much game time. If he does get himself into that side for round 0, does he hold his spot long enough? I don't know. You're not going to trust the job security. But as far as these defensive rookies are concerned, he's definitely got the best scoring potential out of him.
Slim pickings back there for our rookies, isn't it? And there's one more that you touched on your team reveal. Tell us a bit about Connor Stone.
Yeah, he's the one that's probably looking more likely to be in there 22. He's, again, not going to score an insane amount, but if he can give us a 55, 60 average, that'd be great. I think it's probably more of an eye test in round 0 than it is about his fantasy score. So at his price, just about any score, he's going to be making you money. So we just need to see him actually play good footy so that Kingsley keeps him in the side. That's the most important thing for us, because he's not going to score if he gets dropped.
Yeah, and especially with that news just in of Hogan missing a few games as well for the door, the car bus door. Yeah. Those pesky doors.
Very dangerous.
Where does that rank in your silliest sporting injuries you've heard?
I know there was one a few years back. Players playing a bit of cricket in the pre-season, and there was a family jewel that got ruptured. That's probably up there, I think. But yeah, this one's not great, but it's got some work to be the top one.
Yeah, I wish I had more from my end in terms of those, but McGrath missing a 2005 Ashes series, stepping backwards onto another ball he was warming up with. That doesn't bode well with me. These Giants, you can see if Briggs gets a big score, he might be a watch. Pretty slim for mine. Well,
yeah, there's not too much. Like your Primos, Green's missing, so you can't do that. Whitfield is very expensive. Again, he'd need a monster score for us to consider starting him, I think. Which he is capable of some great scores, but it's tough to see that happening. Finn Callahan's one should get a bit more opportunity with some of the players out.
Yeah, Green.
Not sure if he's got enough upside, because he's already priced at 77, and I don't see him being a 100 plus sort of scorer, even if he stayed in the guts. And it's tough to see him staying in the gut. I think they still like him out on the wing quite a bit, so he'll probably get a bit more of a run through the middle, but it won't be enough for us, I don't think. But that's where we get the free watch in round 0, right? So maybe I'll be wrong on that. He'll pump out a 105 and he was pure mid, and we change our mind, put him in our team.
Yeah. Well, on the topic of bloody slim pickings in the fantasy sense, go on looking at the Pies. Is there anyone at all you're even relatively watching?
Well, there's this Nick Dacos kid that goes all right, so I'll probably watch him. It's hard to know when he gets the ball. No one really draws any attention to it. The commentators
No,
sort of
it doesn't get said
name it a little.
hundreds of times throughout a game.
I don't think they've ever mentioned him, so
Okay.
it's tough to see him out there. But there was concern when he did his foot in pre-season that would affect him pretty heavily, and then he comes out and he looks like he always looked, right?
That pre-season game was you just know whenever those Pies players get in the ball, they're immediately looking for where is he? He's a best ball user and utter gold as much as it.
Not just the ball use as well, but it's like if he gives a handball to someone, he is so quick off the mark to start running forward for that next receipt. I don't think I've ever seen a player do that as well as he does. Like,
wow,
he gets an extra 5 to 10 touches a game just from that, really.
Yeah.
Like those second efforts is very entertaining to watch. It'll make watching Collingwood very tough if you don't have him in your fantasy team. But it is an expensive, like you're paying an 105 price tag for him.
God.
Now, he's a guy that could have more than that in him, right? Like,
yeah.
If he would average 120, that wouldn't even be that shocking, right? Like, I'm not going to predict that to happen. I think he's still going to cop enough tags that it's a bit difficult. But definitely one to look at. I think if he wasn't playing in round 0, it would probably make it an easier pick, not having the early buy. But otherwise, it's probably a tough one to start with.
Yeah. I think in terms of interesting watches, brother Josh as well in that new position. I was a bit skeptical on it at first, because the first time he was playing it, there was no Houston, who we know is going to be, their mainstay back there. But in that last Pracky game, he went ahead and played it alongside Dan, and he's you said it in the team preview as well, Nathan. Just oozes class, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a very good player. Finds plenty of it. He's probably another one of those ones because he's not some 70 averaging player that's suddenly got a new role. He was already averaging 95. I mean, it's not.
Well, he was an All-Australian on that win.
Yeah, like he's already a class player. He's already great in AFL Fantasy. How much upside is there? I don't know if there's that much. Like, how much can we realistically see him jumping to? Like, does he get to 100? Maybe. But then with the early buy, that's probably not enough for us to start with him, is it?
No. Well, in terms of value and sort of starting options, there was one player I missed, admittedly, and that's Harry Perryman. Moved across from the Giants. Looks to be in the guts where we want him. Priced at 74. He'll play that more defensive-sided midfield role for the Pies, and I think he's got incredible upside, and it's just a luxury that we get a round 0 watch on him before we dive right in.
Yeah, currently the only Collingwood player in my fantasy team.
Yeah.
I think he just feels safe. Like, he's not going to be a world beater, but he'll give you that 10 to 15 points of upside pretty reliably, I think. And I think it's just nice to have a couple players like that, especially for a mid-pricer, that you actually feel safe about, because a lot of these mid-prices, there's a bit of risk involved. He feels pretty reliable.
Yeah, and just on that as well, I wasn't starting with him before the Callum Mills news, but they're literally the exact same price, and both have the same round 0 buy, so it was just an easy flip for me to get him into my team. And that, well, what a long little preview that was, huh? You out of breath yet?
Yeah, got through all 18 teams, right? That's what we did.
Yeah, well, it is the first round after all. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
Quick game predictions.
Yeah,
Nathan, Swans v Hawks, who's winning? By how much?
I'll say Hawks win. I think Sydney maybe just missing a couple too many players. So Hawks by 13.
Yeah, damn, I was going Hawks by 14. I promise I'm not prices riding you, so that if they win by 20, I can say I was closer.
But absolutely copywriting me again.
Hawks by 14. Just like that ruck line, huh?
All year long this will happen.
Saw me take that, yeah. Jerry DeKoning and Boyd, and yeah, it was all over. You've read right through me. Uh, Giants v Pies. Who and by how many?
Again, a lot of injuries at GWS. It's tough to see them winning this one. Like, they're a good team. Collingwood are a pretty good travelling team anyway. I think, even though they only travel twice a year, they're pretty good at it when they do, and their fans still turn up.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a big one.
I reckon they could win pretty comfortably. I reckon 5-6 goals.
Whoa, my lord! All right, I was on Giants. Yeah, before Hogan today. I think they could have, as big of an out it was, they could have, gone without Green. But that Hogan news. How many goals did he kick last year?
You're testing me there. I'll give it a quick search.
Yeah, but if he went from that down to having just an average full forward year, how many points and goals does that give up? And yeah, I think he's the most important player in their team, and with him out as well as possibly the second important in Green, yeah, I'm going Pies by 28. Well, on the note of prediction, Nathan, should we take a quick dip away from fantasy and give some of ours, or do you want to keep it to the end?
If we've got more fantasy stuff to get through, I reckon we'll do that first.
I think, yeah, we'll talk some structure and sort of, rules, if you will, about how to start your season and whatnot. So, have you got a little anything prepared?
So, nothing over the top. I just think sometimes we overthink things a little bit too much with some of these buy rounds. So if you think a player's value, like a Roberts or a Perryman, even if it's a Dacos, if you think he's good value, don't be afraid to start them, right? It's okay to start. If you think they're good value, we saw last year's fantasy winner start with Tom Green and trade him out up round 2 or round 3. Right,
Had
so
the North and West Coast back then. It's a not bad little run to start with.
Good run to start the year. So just don't be afraid to pick play if you think they've got upside. And then the other one is pick players with upside. Like if there's a player you're looking at in your team and you don't think they're a chance of beating their average, then they probably shouldn't be there. Like, this is a game about value, about cash generation. Mm-hmm. Even with your premiums, like a Tristan Sherry, as expensive as he is, there's potential upside based on how he finished last year,
Yeah.
So even those picks, make sure you've got that in mind. If you're picking someone, I don't know, maybe it's a Treloar. Treloar's probably a bad example because he's injured. Or someone that just had a great year. Maybe a Heaney, coming off like Dacos. A career season, moving into the midfield. Even if he has another great year, is he going to improve his fantasy game? Probably not, right? Like, and that was him playing as well as we've ever seen him play. The chances are he drops off, if anything, right? So it's not to say he won't still score high, but it's hard to see any upside there, is there?
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. I think you want 30 players, so that's not 29 and 1 red dot, especially for these starts with the buys when you'll have plenty of loops for that. There's no point in carrying someone that could potentially be making cash. But yeah, you want those 30 guys who are all going to have a reason to score one or 2 points above their average, Or maybe not 1 or 2. Maybe 10 or 15. But yeah, that's the aim of it. Going with your gut, if you have a justification for it, I'm such an advocate, for that. You think, like Nathan mentioned, the winner of last year had heaps of people around him telling him to start with Tom Green. No. And look what that's done. That's gone and won him a car. And on that sort of topic, of value, it's a cliche, but you really do have to build that team around your rookies. Those are the most important guys in your team. They're the ones that are going to be making the most cash, unless you're the Big X last year, priced at 600k, going up to 1.2 mil. But yeah, that was an extreme oddity. And these rookies, Ashcrofts, Langfords, Drapers, ones like that, and even more than that, your Reeds and your Stones are just as important for that.
Yep, exactly. Like your mid prices will make you a good amount while still being respectable scores, but it's
Yep.
your rookies that really drive your cash, and that's what makes it so you can have your 22 or even 23 premiums at the end of the season.
Exactly, and that's what also I'm pretty sure coming towards the end of last season as well, the real thing that got him over the line was in the last round he had enough cash to afford to loop between, I think it was Dacos and like Brayshaw or something, and he just had that luxury, and I don't think it mattered in the end, but if it flipped the other way, you've got your rookies and your early cash gen to thank for that. And something that sticks with me is one of my first years of fantasy, Nathan, I had an uber premium. I'm not going to say his name. I hate it.
You're not?
But
I can say it for you if you want.
No. He went out
Might
and
have
scored
been a big score at Adelaide for anyone listening. If you want to piece together who that might be, let us know in the comments.
And that year I had no justification for picking him except, well, he scored the most last year, so he's going to do it again. There was, nothing behind it. He went and scored a 70 or something in the first round. It might have even been lower than that. And I remember you saying to this, Nathan, you said, that is going to really hurt you in your last 3 rounds, because that cash that got lost, if that was there, or even better, if that was making me money, if that instead of a negative 80k it was a positive few hundred, that's the difference between one of your real uber premiums or an average sort of upper mid pricer at the end of the season that you can't quite bank your season on.
Yeah, exactly.
And looking in terms of value, the sort of three main things you want to be looking for are either players that have scored well in past that have dropped for whatever reason over an injury, if they've been getting bevoed like a few of our forwards down the bottom there. Like we should make a banner for it, Nathan, our rehab facility for these guys.
Yeah, we'll get on that.
Yeah. Look forward to it. Stay tuned. But those ones that have fallen for whatever reason and look to be on the way up, just because those are who you mainly want to be prioritizing, I think, just because they're sort of the safer bets, done it before. What reason they can't do it again? The next one are your changes of either club and or position, and you'll see that in guys like your Perrymans there, your McRae's, Daniel, plenty of guys. Shields going to a halfback, ones like that. Taconi getting a ruck roll. Rioli off the halfback, where Dimmer loves halfbacks. Don't forget to hashtag it. Those are your next sort of ones over that. Would you agree with that, Nathan?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the role change is the big one. Obviously, when you change club, the role has to change at least a little bit, right? So Dan Rioli's not going to do quite the same thing he was doing at Richmond last year. Mm-hmm. It'll be slightly different, but still the same thing. It's more about the role change. Are they getting more midfield time? These days, are they getting more halfback time? Tends to be just as important.
More important statistically. That's where the high scorers are.
Depends on the some players still. You just want in the middle, right?
Oh, Perryman, he's the prime example.
That'd be one very good example, yeah.
And then, finally off that are your youngsters you can just see, naturally progressing in their games. The ones like your Garcias, albeit with a better role. Sheldrick with an added opportunity. Is he going to do better? I think you've had a few more of them than I do in my team, Nathan. Who are some more guys like that?
Let me quickly look at my team. So I've got Sardis in my team. Improved midfield opportunity, I think should be a good one.
Great.
Peatling, I still have faith that he has that improved role. They're probably the two main ones. I've still got Rivers. I'm a little nervous about that one, but
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
exactly.
That's one that might not be there by round one. I'm sure there'll be a few changes. He's probably one of the more likely ones.
Yeah, looking at my team, I'm sort of taking notes like, oh, what's he still doing there and things. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then from there, it just turns into a trading game, which obviously we'll be bringing to you, at least twice a week. With that, anything else you really want to say in terms of structure and whatnot?
I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to know.
Yeah, you have those guys sort of putting out there that you need this many premiums, this many rookies, this many mids, but there's no real sort of, I know what the word is, sort of clarity around that anymore. The game's just ever changing.
Well, you'll see people saying you need this many in each defensive midfield and forward line as well. It's like, if there's no good forward rookie to score, no good defensive rookie, you don't need to have them there. You can put your rookies all in the midfield if you want. You can have them all forward if you think that's better. Like, just pick the best players. Like, don't overthink, oh, this guy's in the midfield and I want this spot for something else. Like, if you really want an extra, let's say you want Horn, Francis and Rankin, chuck Horn Francis in your midfield. Like, that's fine. He doesn't have to be a forward. He doesn't have to be
Nice.
F1. He can be your M3.
No, I love that. That's something I've fallen into traps of in previous years, saying that because in most cases you do want your forward mid duels to be playing forward. Same with your defensive mids. You want them in the back as well, and that's dictated my structure in previous. But that's just something you need to kind of let go, don't you?
Yep. Pretty much.
The one sort of other thing on structure I want to mention is starting with a captain option that you can put sort of put your house on, which everyone should be starting with Jerry regardless of this. But that Jerry might be a different player for you if you don't think his scoring's maintainable, which we've explained why it is in the other podcasts if you go back and watch them. If there's someone else that you really like and can bank on getting that early captaincy score, I think that's really vital in these early rounds, Nath.
Yep, just having one or two, you can after a couple of rounds you can loop them in anyway, so they don't all have to be knockout captain choices. It might just be they're good for a week. Look at what week they play Richmond. Do you have a player from that club? That might be a starting point for you. You'll usually have one or two options that are reasonable enough.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick skim over my sort of notes, and it's just I think those who are kind of newer to it, it's a 5-game rolling average for your for your cash gen. So if a player gets a crappy sub game on a 30 or something, they're sat there for the next 5, and that's affecting their generation of value. So you want to ship them off ASAP so it doesn't sort of plug in your spot. And these early rounds are really about just jumping onto those right rookies who we know are gonna just skyrocket with their price.
Yep, that's pretty much it on that. Probably not much more fantasy to talk until after the round 0 games are had.
Certainly
So
helps, yeah.
why don't we just talk footy in general for a little bit? Some pre-season predictions and whatnot. What are we thinking?
Well, do you want to start with yours first, Nath?
Oh, we could do that.
Start with
You
ladders,
want to pull that one up on screen?
Pretty loose, I better get that. There you go.
So, bring on wondering if you've got a business, you need a new logo design or anything, my services are available. I think it's just a masterful job. Can't do any better. Some people might say you could have lined up the steps on the ladder a bit more easy. I think this is just more accurate. It's a wooden ladder. It's not steel. It's going to be a bit uneven. That's okay.
Yeah, and it's just life as well, dude. Not every rung is going to be the same space away from each other, Some steps are going to be bigger.
Yeah, this is something that's going to get the job done. That's what I'm looking at.
Just preface it for the audio listeners. Nathan has gone into Microsoft Paint and drawn one of the finer wooden ladders I've seen, just with a combination of lines, and he's got all the teams there. So Nath, where are we going to start for your ladder prediction? Just zip through it.
Well, I think the 18th spot, it's really tough to decide what team's going to go there. I think it could be anyone. It's Richmond. Okay, I'm next up in 17th.
Just on that, I've had to alter it since last one. Are they going over or under 1.5 wins?
I'll stick with the unders.
Yeah. Yes.
I
the best two Richmond fans.
I'm sure they'll beat someone at some point. They'll get one win.
Imagine the celebrations.
That's about all I've got for them. Second off the bottom, I'm still going to have West Coast. I think they just have so many young players still. It's hard to see them jumping too high up the ladder or anything like that. 16th, I'm going to have North. In fairness to North, I feel like they're going to be a bit further away from some of these. Well, I think Richmond will be by far the lowest.
Yeah. Yep.
But I still think North will be a couple wins better than West Coast. And they've had, whatever it is, 15 wins in 5 seasons. I think maybe they can add 6 or 7 to that this year. That'd be a big step up for them.
Yeah, I want to set it to the audio viewers as well. You've gone with the retro logos as well. Oof.
Yeah, there's a couple retro logos in here. You find what works best, what fits well when you're using paint. Some things just don't size up very well, so you get a little limited. To finish out the bottom 4, so we'll finally get into a bit more of a bold prediction here. I'm going to have Gold Coast.
And you are the number one Gold Coast Suns hater.
I don't see it. Like
the number one.
All the talk about, look at all their young players that are going to improve. All these clubs have young. Do you think North doesn't have young players about to improve? Adelaide doesn't have young players. St Kilda doesn't have young players. You know, everyone's got them. And I look at a club that wasn't really in finals contention last year. They haven't been in finals contention in any year for a while, and they've never made it. I don't see why that's suddenly going to change. Like, I don't see what other people see in them. I guess
change of
I'm not saying they'll be
second year
awful
for Dimmer.
like Richmond, but even that, I don't know. I don't see that much.
Early injuries as well.
How many A-list players do they even have on their list? Like, is there back? Who's the Sam Taylor? Who's the Darcy Moore? Who's the Harris Andrews? You go forward. Do they have a Mackay? Do they have a Kerno? Do they have a Hogan?
King.
They have a King. That's about it.
Yeah.
You know, they got someone that might not even be the best twin. That's all they've got going for them. So I'll have them there.
That was good though. I want to keep this. The Tornado is coming to the review shows. Make it happen.
If we need a video graphic for that, I don't know if I can do that in Paint. I'll be honest. That might be beyond me.
You can try.
Up next, I'm putting Essendon, another young list. Look, I don't think they'll be bad by any means, but have they really improved their list on last season? Probably not, right? They haven't gotten worse. It's just you're relying on young players to improve a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think
how many players they've rolled through that midfield?
Yeah, exactly. They'll be in amongst a massive group of clubs that are sort of fighting for a top 8 spot, but they fizzle out with a few weeks to go.
Yeah.
So that's about where I'd put them. Up next, unfortunately, I'd love to have them higher. So I will. I'll just put them up here. Saints are winning the flat. No chance.
Saints in 13th.
Saints in, is it 13th we're up to? Something like that. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Yep. Yeah, just, again, lots of injuries. We've had lots of injuries the last few years, so I don't think that's anything new. Plenty of young players looking to make that step forward. You add McRae, which is, I think, a really underrated trade, really. I know he's not going to be the all-Australian McRae of the past, but he's still a very good player, and he's a big upgrade on having, maybe a Zach Jones running through the midfield. So I think that'll go
good around the club as well, I think.
Yeah, it should be.
So
next.
with that, I'll keep you on Saints. Just have a little chat over them. How do you see Saints getting out of this sort of lower table sort of slump? Do they need to pull some sort of Richmond West Coast North-esque rebuild to get those draft picks to move up, or what's the? It just feels like they don't really have a plan.
Well, hopefully the plan is there's a young halfback named Nazaya Wanganeen Miller. You get the ball in his hands and you win the game. I think that's the game plan, right? Like, feel free to hold me to it because it won't happen. But if Wanganeen Miller is getting 50 touches in a game, St Kilda win. Simple as that, right?
Okay.
Don't want to hear any easier said than done.
Okay.
Just get it done.
Who's next?
All right, we got Crows up next. Had a bit of a bad year, finishing bottom 4 in the end. They should be better than that. I don't think they're an outstanding list, though. I still think they're not as good as some of these other finals contenders, at least in my opinion. I don't have that sort of faith in them.
Okay, all right.
Moving on to the Doggies. Lots of injuries to start the year.
Yeah.
Bit of off-field drama with Jamara Ugle-Hagan.
With my man, man Jamara.
It's probably going to hurt their season a little, having so many headaches.
I called this a long way back with him. I want that out there.
Yeah, you don't like him. we know this.
Well, his teammates don't at the moment either.
I'll be putting Port Adelaide above Adelaide on the ladder. I know lots of people think Port are going to drop off. People think that about them a lot of the time.
The last year,
that's
they
just
finished
sort of
second.
a yearly thing. And yeah, I'll have them dropping off from second, but I still think they're going to be a very competitive team. I don't see how they suddenly drop out of finals contention from second on the ladder. They've still got a lot of the same players, right? Houston's a big loss.
It's happened before. It's happened to teams before.
I'm sure they should be fine. Well, we got 9 teams left, so only one remaining team out of these 9 is missing finals. That's going to be... Where do you think it's going? Go on.
I think it's going to Carlton.
It's going to Carlton. Oh, I like Carlton. What's wrong with Carlton?
It's just something about not making finals. You're talking about that. I know they've been better, but...
It is.
Oh, it was.
I mean, in fairness, it's looking a lot like the back end of last year, where they just have so many injuries. Like, if they have their healthiest list out there, you could argue it's the best list in the comp. They've got so many A-listers. But are they all going to be out there? Are they all going to be healthy? Probably not. So that's enough for me to put them outside the 8.
Mm-hmm.
As we get into finals, I'm going to start off with Collingwood. I think they should have a better year than last year. They've sort of rolled the dice a bit, going all in.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll make a charge for it.
Well,
but I don't think they've got the same talent as some of these other clubs above them.
I do want to ask you about that sort of knowing. I feel like it's, and yeah, come at me all you like for this, Pies fans, but I feel like it's a bit of that Collingwood ego coming through and saying, we can still do it, we can still do it. And this might well come back to bite me, and I'm open to that. But I think, yeah, it's sort of that, a bit of delusion, a bit of status at the top, saying all these old guys can still push. They did it this many years ago. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I think sort of know when the time's up, and they've invested some big money and big picks into others that they could have put towards a rebuild. But yeah, I don't think they've got the juice to... Do they make a prelim? Gonna say no. I think that's where I'm putting them.
Collingwood supporters, he said all of that, not me. Just keep that in mind. Don't need to come after me. There's the same guy that was complaining about the McClellan Trophy a few months back instead of enjoying a premiership. So that's what we're dealing with here. Next on the agenda, I'll be chucking the Swans. I think they'll have a little bit of a dip. I'm not buying the whole... They're going to have all these deep wounds, like they haven't been smashed in the grand final before. They know the drill. and they usually bounce back pretty well. Like they're just a great club, great culture. They're always somewhere towards the top.
Yeah. New coach as well. I like the look of him too. Made the right stuff.
Yep, exactly. Up next will be the crosstown rivals. We are running out of screen here. I don't know if you realise this.
The ladder, does it
And
have
it
any
is getting
wooden
alarming.
extensions?
The Giants, I hope you don't mind, you're going to be quite small here.
They're the smalls. The gold.
Yeah. The Greater Western Smalls, they're going to
Yeah.
they're going to revamp the comp.
Dwarfs.
Just a lot of talent on that list.
Elves.
Hard to look past. In fifth on the ladder, geez, I'm going to get 4 more after this one. We are not making room at all.
Look at how big your Saints are.
They should be big. That's deserved. Essendon's bigger. And I needed to have the extra room for Richmond at the bottom too, to be a bit further away from them. Okay, let's just we're here.
They are
Audio
they're
listeners,
off the
they are
screen,
no longer
audio
on the
listeners.
ladder.
Yep.
They're not coming 18th. Don't worry. They don't make the ladder. They don't qualify.
I think I'm bad with the Pies fans.
They can. They've had 3 premierships in the last decade. They can handle it. Hawks looks great last year. I'm sure they'll be really good again. I'm not quite putting them up there to win the premiership straight away. A lot of the time we see sides after they have that big leap, they just sort of have a year where they stay pretty steady. So that's what I'm going to have for them this year. Fourth on the ladder, so probably a bit higher than most people would have them.
Melbourne.
So I've got the Demons.
They do look back, don't they?
Like
I know
look
we haven't
great in
played a game
pre-season.
yet, but
It is pre-season, but look, they've got a lot of those same players that won them a premiership a few years back. They've got some good-looking kids they've added in the time being as well. Like, I think they're a good side. I might actually let's have a little top 4 over here. Maybe this will be making a bit more room
the
for
ladder.
us.
What's above the ladder?
I don't know. These lads are on the ceiling. Yeah, I can make the ceiling real quick.
It's something
Get a little
out of
block.
reach. There we go.
These clubs, they've climbed the ladder. They're on the ceiling now. So
Very good. Very good.
what a great fill job. All right. Audio listeners must be delighted at this.
Got a ladder
In the
leading
top
to the
4, so Melbourne in 4th. Just above them, I'm going to have Brisbane. I mean, no reason to think they're going to drop off massively.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to chuck the reigning premiers top of the ladder like lots of people often do. I can see them having a slow start to the year, still dropping games. Like, not saying it's a premiership hangover or anything, but you lose a little bit of hunger. So that's where I'll be putting them. I've got Fremantle up in 2nd. A lot of faith in what they've got on their list.
Yes.
Plenty
Such
of
a
great
complete
midfielders.
side, isn't it?
Like they've got 3 different midfielders that you could say they're going to be all Australian this year, and no one would bat an eye, right? So that's the sort of talent they've got. And then top of the table will be the Cats.
My goodness.
They're not usually near the top of the ladder, are they? They're always a bottom 14.
It's original.
Constantly trying to rebuild. Geelong's going to do what Geelong do. They're a quality side. They've always been a quality side. That's not going to change.
Best coach in the comp to you?
Yeah, he's like, I know they've got a great club around it. It's not just the coach. Similar to like a Sydney, it wasn't just the horse in charge, but it is a great coach, isn't it? All right.
Well,
how about
very good.
we have
So
a
we've done
look at your ladder now?
Yeah, I'm about to say we've done the B tier. The B tier ladder. Let's go to what's really going to happen. We're going to say goodbye to our pretty little faces and get this up on the full screen. I'm going to have it all out there. So have a look at as you will. Richmond 18th. Just, rebuild for them. I see West Coast below North. I think North have just a bit more, sort of flair and up-and-comers at the moment than West Coast. I've gone Saints in 15th. I could have swapped them with Essendon, but I don't know, too many sort of kids, not enough star quality. I don't think they've got enough to be any higher than 13th at least. Essendon 14th, same thing. How many midfielders do you think they've rolled through there in the last couple of years.
Oh, at least a dozen have gotten a good crack at it.
Yeah, it's just those things you want in a team, that consistency, those known roles, they just haven't quite gotten yet, and they haven't had a real winning record either, which is hard to take. And obviously, there are all the, I'm not going to make any more enemies this this podcast alone, but they do have that infamous record as well, and I think that I don't know, that does stuff to a club. And on that, Gold Coast 13th, again, haven't gone to finals. What did you put? You put Gold Coast 15th, right?
I think I have them 15th.
Yeah, bottom four. So at least I'm not more of a hater than you. But yeah, again, it's not a real stable side. I think haven't been there before. I think what did they finish last year? Is that an improvement?
I think they were 13th last year, weren't they, or 12th?
Yeah, so it's similar kind of thing. And I also just put it down to when I was building sort of my ladder, I said to Nathan, we've got that 13th. We need to figure out who these sort of contesting for the top 8 sides are going to be. And it's just too much ahead of them. Port in 12th. You had them, where did you have them?
I had them playing finals, didn't I? Oh, no, I had them a bit outside.
Yeah,
I think I had them 10th in the end.
How do you feel about the early sort of Hinckley announcement? Like, where do you sit on that?
Oh, it's fine. It's not the first time there's been a succession plan.
Yeah, I know, but like, should they have these? Like, obviously, like, I like them, but not publicly, if that makes sense. I just think
it's fine. Just put a public. Let the people know what's happening. Like, all that matters with the succession plan, like when people look back at it, they'll just say, "Oh, was it a success or not?" And that's entirely dependent on, well, was the next coach in line actually good enough, right? When the next coach in line is a Matthews or a fucking Horse, then you're pretty happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not that, we'll see what Carr's like, but
heard good things.
That'll be the main look.
Yeah. And on that as well, if they have a rocky start to the season, what stops everyone turning on Hinckley? It wouldn't be a new thing for Port, but now that they've got that out in the open, they say, why wait till 26?
Oh, it's probably better for club culture the way that'd be the reasoning, right? Okay. It's a bad look when you say, here's a little send off tour. You start to cheer him off, and then you just sweep the legs out from under him. That's not going to be great for your culture.
Yeah, it could go either way. That's the thing that we're prefacing here with ladder predictions. As always, people look very, very silly come the end of season because it's a hard read when no footy's been played. We were talking about club culture, where I've put Melbourne at 11th. I do see them going higher, and like I said, with your top fours, you had them.
Yep.
Yeah, I do see them, coming back and having that winning culture about them. And who was it that was saying, there's a lot of love around there, isn't there? It's
something like that. I know the quote of, "We don't have a culture problem." I know that one. But
God, yeah, that's that's been around a bit.
Just a series of unfortunate events.
Oh, yeah. At what point does it become a pattern? But yeah, I see him going up a bit. Dogs at 10, again, club culture. But I think when you've got the best player in the comp after 6 months of them out, there's only so low you can go down. I think Darcy is an absolute steal for them. Lob's been redefined. They've got good enough midfield and team, and I think Bevo's got a point to prove as well. Sydney at 9, a lot of people aren't going to like me saying, so there goes 2 of your top 4 teams. I think they have a lot of their forward line is what worries me. Like, they just put McCartan in there. He looks really good, but when has he ever played forward?
Not really,
I-
but his brother was
yeah.
pretty handy as a full forward before he
Yeah,
retired.
what is it? Genetically done just like your, what is it, Draconic shout?
Might be. It's just in the blood.
Yeah. Well, in the blood, for the Bloods, and yeah, they've got a point to prove. Harsh, but there are so many teams. Collingwood at 8, I've touched on them. They've got the quality of players. Are they just going to be able to hold up for a full season? And I'm really worried for them come future years, as I've made pretty evident. Geelong at 7th. I was going to ask you this in your little section, Nathan. Who have you got as their genuine star players?
Stewart, Cameron, Holmes, Dangerfield can still win a game off his own boot. That's enough. And then who do I have that you're not happy to have in your 22? Like their 10th through 22nd player on the list is outstanding. Like that's what's keeping them towards the top year after year. So yeah,
I think you got to bump them up a few for Chris Scott alone. I did tinker with them being outside the 8, but I just couldn't pull myself into doing it. Now, my biggest one, this might be my bold call of the year, is having Adelaide in the top 6. I see them as a lot more sort of complete than a lot of the teams. I think they've got midfield talent coming out of their ears. Their forwards are all capable of, kicking 5 in a game. Ranking through the midfield is going to be a massive booster for them. And quite frankly, it's do or die for Matthew Nicks as well.
Yep. Nothing to add.
Not a lot more to say that. And I think they might be skating on thin ice, or dancing on thin ice, which I watched tonight. Very good watch. I recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. Carlton in 5th is again on that star quality. I think I probably haven't put enough emphasis on their injuries, but yeah, like you said, if they're fully fit, which they may or may not be, they've got that. I don't know, that sort of spark. Cripps running through the midfield. I think they'll play De Koning as solo rock, which we saw what he can do when he's in there. Again, star forwards and your Twin Towers, solid enough at the back, although if Wiedering goes down, so do Carlton. So we're just going to be banking on that. GW West in 4th, the first spot in that top 4. Again, I think they go back and do it again. They've got a point to prove after their last 2 years and how they've gone out in their hunt for the Premiership. And again, just a real complete team. Goals up front, Hogan and Green. Defence at the back with your Taylors and what's his name, Buckley, one of the more underrated players in the team and the like. And I think I've got that run and can go far. Freo in 3rd, backing up with what Nathan said. They're just again complete, and that's sort of been my theme for my team, I suppose. I'm a big fan of Pearce when he gets back. All their backs good distributors. Their midfield, like Nathan mentioned, could all be contending for all Australians. And goals up forward with your Amis's and your Tracy's and whatnot. I think it's a really, really strong side. Hawthorn pumping through as well with their hock ball. Really exciting. A lot of confidence. And I like them in 2nd. And then, in a completely unbiased opinion. Are you shaking your head, Nathan?
Little bit.
I think they can go back to back. They've got drive, the complete teams there. It's a destination spot. Missing Danaher, but young kids coming in and Levi to add to that. I think he can have a massive impact in the first year. And that's the ladder for me. Final quick one for our just end of season sort of early crows and make us look like a genius if they come through. Brownlow for Dacos. You joining me on that?
Yeah, it's hard to look past Dacoffs.
I just don't think Collingwood have enough players to sort of take votes off him, and that's what happened with Cripps, quite frankly. You can get those votes from having average games if you've got that sort of aura and no one else around you. Rising star, you've gone Garcia, your man.
Yeah, still eligible. Only played, I don't know if it counts as 8 or 9 games, because he had one game where he's an unused substitute. But how many first-year players are going to compete with someone that's actually getting bulk midfield time?
Well, guys that have proved it against absolute adults. Oh, bulk midfield time. I see what you did there. Levi, I think he'll have enough impact around the ground as a youngster. He's shown what he can do against adults, and I don't think there'll be anything new there. For Levi Ashcroft, Coleman, you've gone with Sam Darcy.
Yeah, should be a good year for him. Hopefully he stays healthy.
Big fan of that. Yeah, big fan. Jamara troubles, Waitman injured, those kind of things. And that Dogs forward line, I think he's going to have to perform above his years, which has proved he can do. I've gone for Josh Tracy for the Coleman in that, Freo team that we're both very hot on. I'm tossing up between him and Darcy myself, but if we've got both, that covers us for the the combined predictions. Could see Amos taking it out as well. We've gone... Well, what should we do first? We should do what our grand final we think's going to be. Nathan, what's yours?
We'll pair it all together. So I've got the Giants beating the Cats in the grand final, with the kid with the lid taking home the Norm Smith, Darcy Jones.
That's nice. I do like that. He's had good games, very good games, unfortunately, against my team as well. I've gone Brisbane v Freo, with Brisbane going back-to-back. Again, I just like it too much, what they're doing with it. And, talking in the theme of players who can pop up and have those really, really good games, I've gone with the Cam Rayner, Norm Smith for myself in that. And, what better place to end the pod than on those, Nathan? I think, it's been a good show. Not a lot of fantasy spoken, but how much can you
we'll get a bit more
before
of
the games are done?
So,
I think it's still been a good footy chat, which is what people have been craving for that long as well. So I'm happy with it. You happy with that one?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. When will people be able to see or hear us next?
Well, just in general on our exes, like we've mentioned before, not our ex-girlfriends, our Twitters. Me at BK_IFS. Nathan at Fantasy NATO, spelt NATE, and then the big letter O. And then, we're planning on having a opening round opener live stream going on, a little watch along with us. We'll hopefully get to know a few more members of the community and ask you questions and have a more sort of fantasy based commentary approach on it. Rather than who's going to be commentating that night.
Depends if we're on. We got 7 and Fox Footy now, so we get a choice.
Pick a team, Nathan? Who are you picking
to win the game?
No, out of Fox and 7, yeah.
Oh, well, I'll probably just be off because I'll just go whatever the KO is showing, right? So I assume that'll be Fox. I can't imagine that's going to be 7.
Yeah, I'm on that as well. And then after that, we'll have the review show. Same sort of things. Did the guys from our watch list perform? Did they bust? Did they do what they wanted to do? All that kind of talk. And then, we'll be locking in our teams one more time for next week's preview and bursting into the fantasy season. Nathan, anything else you want to say before saying goodbye?
No, that's pretty much it. I think we've covered it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Obviously, you can find our socials in, what we just mentioned. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That's the triple banger that we know at Insight. And, we'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, that's in the, watch along for the opener. Cheers, guys.